Hello students, welcome back in English class. Students, I hope you all are taking good care of yourself and of your family members as well, because few loving caring words, a simple hug, few affectionate line really means a lot for you and for your family members, for your mother, father. These are just our misconceptions or our own apprehensions that what is going to change after this. These are nothing, but no, you are wrong. These few simple things, a simple hug, few loving, caring words towards our family members, these are really means a lot for you, and these are, these things are working like a magic. They have their own magic effect. You just try to do this and you will feel a vast change, a disastrous change. Even you can say that these small minute things have their own magical powers. They have their own supernatural powers, supernatural effects. Okay, let's move ahead. So as you all must aware that we are discussing a very hot trending, a gripping story of Wanda Petronsky, a Polish immigrant who hails from Poland and lived in an American town with her family members. Her classmates, Maddie, Peggy, accompanied with other few girls, always made fun of her, mocked at her, humiliate her, always after the class or before the class or on the way. It was her habit. So, what was the exact, actual, or genuine reason of all those activities of Peggy, Maddie, and other students in the class? Why they were teasing or humiliating to always and always Wanda Petronsky? So, first reason behind all this, that Wanda was a Polish immigrant girl. She hails from Poland, and her family, they shifted into the America. And second was, they all were thinking that Vanda's name was kind of funny. They were thinking that Vanda has a Slavic name. So Slavic is a term denoting the branch of Indo-European language families. For example, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, Serbian, or Slovak, etc. So they were thinking that Vanda has a Slavic name. Funny. It was seeming funny to all of them that Vanda Petronsky. It was not a usual name to speak, not an easy name to speak, Vanda Petronsky. And the next important reason was her economic condition. Vanda was a poor girl. She lives in a poor area, Boggin Heights, and these things also added more and more towards her suffering, to her misery. Vanda always used to say to other girls of her class that she has 100 immensely beautiful dresses in her closet, all different color, and she has 60 beautiful pair of shoes. And on the contrary, Vanda has only one same faded blue, ill-fitted, unironed dress that she used to wear in the school always. So in our last session, we have discussed few pages of our chapter, and now today we are going to start our discussion from page number 66. So let's start. Then they would let her go, and then before she would gone very far, they could not help bursting into shrieks and peals of laughter. 100 dresses? Obviously, the only dress Venda had was the blue one she wore every day. So why did she say that she had 100. What a story! How many shoes did you say you had? 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet. Cries of exaggerated politeness greeted this. All alike? Oh no, every pair is different. All colors, all lined up. Peggy, who had thought up this game, and Maddie, her inseparable friend, were always the last to leave. Finally, Wanda would move up the street, her eyes dull and her mouth closed, hitching her left shoulder every now and then in the funny way she had, finishing the walk to school alone. Peggy was not really cruel. She protected small children from bullies, and she cried for hours if she saw an animal mistreated. If anybody had said to her, "Don't you think that is a cruel way to treat Wanda?" she would have been very surprised. Cruel? Why did the girl say she had 100 dresses? Anybody could tell that that was a lie. Why did she want to lie? And she wasn't just an ordinary person. Else why did she have a name like that? Anyway, they never made her cry. As for Maddie, this business of asking Wanda every day how many dresses and how many hats and how many this and that she had was bothering her. Maddie was poor herself. She usually wore somebody's hand-me-down clothes. Thank goodness she didn't live up on Boggin Heights or have a funny name. Sometimes, then, when Peggy was asking Wenda whose question in that mocking polite voice, Maddie felt embarrassed and studied the marbles in the palm of her hand, rolling them around and saying nothing herself. Note that she felt sorry for Wenda. Exactly, she would never have paid any attention to Wenda if Peggy had not invented the dresses game, but suppose Peggy and all the others started in on her next. She wasn't as poor as Wenda, perhaps, but she was poor. Of course, she would have more sense than to say she had 100 dresses. Still, she would not like for them to begin on her. She wished Peggy would stop teasing Wenda Petronsky. So it was hard to believe what Wenda said every time, because the only dress she was seen wearing was the blue faded one dress. No one was sure as to why she made up all those fake stories about 100 dresses and about the 60 pair of shoes. Although they were teasing her, they were humiliating her. It was Maddie's favorite time pass to pull her chain. They were never rude to her. Thus, in the same tone, they continued asking her about the number of shoes she said she had, to which she replied 60, each pair of different color. It was Peggy's idea to embarrass her like that. Though she was polite, Peggy and Maddie, the inseparable friends, were the last ones to leave school, while Wanda would go back all alone with her dull eyes and behaved in a strange way. Although it was Peggy's idea to bully Wanda, but Peggy was not the mean girl she had been portrayed as until now. She saved kids from whoever was hurting them and couldn't stand animals getting badly treated. According to her, she was not being rude to Wanda. She thought it was very weird of Wanda to lie about her fake stories, about the 100 dresses, about 60 pair of shoes she possessed, and if anything was weirder, it was her name. No matter how much they teased Wanda, they never made her cry. Wanda never shed a single tear due to all these funny activities created by Maddie, Peggy, and other girls of her class. Maddie did not like the idea of making fun of the number of clothes and accessories Wanda possessed, not because she cared about her, but because she was poor herself. She wore clothes that were given to her by someone else, but she was not as poor as Wanda. She did not live in Boggin Heights and did not even have a weird name. Maddie did not feel very comfortable teasing Wanda, and when Peggy used to ask Venda those questions about her dresses, about her shoes, and about her hats, she would silently count the marbles in her hand, pretending to play with them. If that dress game had not been invented, Maddie would have never known about the very existence of Venda. She was totally negligent towards Venda. She felt uncomfortable not because she cared about Venda, but because she was worried she could be next, because she was also poor. Not as poor as Venda, but she was also poor. Although she was not senseless enough to say that she had 100 dresses, she still wished that Peggy did not tease Venda. So Maddie is a meek, gentle, lowly, docile kind of girl. She was not able to reveal her thoughts or feelings in front of Paddy about what she felt whenever Paddy was teasing to Vanda Petronsky and she should stop all these. It was so bugging for Maddie and she was exasperatory internally with the feeling of agitation, and she was always burdened, her soul was always burdened with this feeling that this game was really maybe hurting to Venda, and she was worried about Venda nowadays. Earlier she was totally negligent towards Venda Petronsky, but every day after day she was now worried, her soul was now burdened with this feeling, she was exasperated with this feeling. Today, even though they had been late to school, Maddie was glad she had not had to make fun of Venda. She worked her arithmetic problems absent-mindedly. 8 times 8. Let's see, she wished she had the nerve to write Peggy a note, because she knew she never would have the courage to speak right out to Peggy. To say, hey Peg, let's stop asking Venda how many dresses she has. When she finished her arithmetic, she did start a note to Peggy. Suddenly, she paused and shuddered. She pictured herself in the schoolyard, a new target for Peggy and the girls. Peggy might ask her where she got the dress that she had on, and Maddie would have to say it was one of Peggy's old ones that Maddie's mother had tried to disguise with new trimmings so no one in room 13 would recognize it. If only Peggy would decide of her own accord to stop having fun of with Benda. Oh well, Maddie ran her hand through her short blonde hair as though to push the uncomfortable thoughts away. What difference did it make? Slowly, Maddie tore into bits the note she had started. She was Peggy's best friend, and Peggy was the best liked girl in the whole room. Peggy could not possibly do anything that was really wrong, she thought. As for Venda, she was just some girl who lived up on Boggin Heights and stood alone in the schoolyard. She scarcely ever said anything to anybody. The only time she talked was in the schoolyard about her 100 dresses. Maddie remembered her telling about one of her dresses, pale blue with colored trimmings. And she remembered another that was like a Christmas tree in that. The girls had said the pretended admiration. Thinking about Vanda and her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet, Maddie began to wonder who was going to win the drawing and coloring contest. For girls, this contest consisted of designing dresses, and for boys, of designing motorboats. Probably Peggy would win the girls' medal. Peggy drew better than anyone else in the class. At least that's what everybody thought. She could copy a picture in the from a magazine or some film star's head so that you could almost tell who it was. Oh, Maddie was sure poor Peggy would win. Well, tomorrow the teacher was going to announce the winners, then they would know. The next day it was drizzling. Maddie and Peggy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. Naturally, on the day like this, they did not wait for Vanda Petronsky on the corner of Oliver Street, the street that was far, far away, under the railroad tracks and up the hill. led to Bogin Heights. Anyway, they were not taking chances on being late today because today was important. Wanda did not come that day, and after having waited for her so long, Maddie and Peggy got late for school. Maddie was secretly happy that they could not get a chance to make fun of Wanda because her conscience was already overburdened with this feeling. She was lost in her own thoughts and could not study properly. All this time, she kept thinking about writing a note to Peggy telling her to stop making fun of Wanda, which she did write even after finishing arithmetic because she was not able to concentrate. She wanted to write a note because she knew she did not have the guts to say it on her face. So Maddie was a reserved introvert, a shy girl, and but this thing was so annoying for her that it was Peggy's favorite time pass to tease or humiliate Wanda. Number of time it came into Maddie's mind to stop Peggy from doing all those activities, and even she was not having guts to say directly or straightforwardly in front on her straightforwardly on Peggy's face that stop all these bullying, stop all these activities, stop all this humiliation that you are doing with Wanda. So that is why she wrote a proper note to convey her message. But while writing the note to Peggy, Maddie shook at the imagination of her being a new target for Peggy and the girls. She was afraid that they would ask where she got that dress from, which was actually Peggy's. So Maddie's mother got it transformed with new laces and ribbons so that none of her classmates could identify it. So it was so Maddie used to wear Peggy's hand-me-down clothes. So that is why she was worried that if I would try to stop Peggy from doing all those activities, all those humiliation, maybe she would be her next target. And she would disclose all this that are you always wear my hand-me-down clothes. She wished Peggy stopped having fun with Wanda on her own. Suddenly, she ran her hand through her hair as a gesture to drive away all those thoughts. She said to herself, Peggy is the most liked girl in the class and her best friend Sue. She couldn't be wrong. Thus, she tore and threw that note away. She was also afraid of losing her friend Peggy. After Maddie had cleared her thoughts about confessing to Peggy, she started thinking about Wanda. She thought that Wanda was just another girl living in Boggin Heights, who hardly spoke to anybody. She remembers when Wanda talked about her pale blue dress and jungle green dress paired with the red sash. The girls made fun of her by saying that she would rather look like a Christmas tree in that dress. Maddie was totally submerged in the thoughts of Wanda. While thinking about Wanda, Maddie began thinking about the drawing contest in which the boys had to design motorboats and girls had to design dresses. Peggy was the obvious winner of that competition because she was the best artist in the room. She could copy exact pictures and recognizable portraits. She was sure that Peggy would win, and everybody else in the class also thinking that Peggy would be the winner of the drawing contest. And results were to be announced the next day, where everyone would know what's what. The day when the results were to be announced, it was raining lightly, and thus the two best friends, Peggy and Maddie, ran quickly to school without waiting for Wanda. They used to wait for Wanda on the way. Generally, they used to wait for Wanda at the Oliver Street that led to Bogin Heights. It was the place where they used to sit and wait. But they did not wait that day. Even if it was not raining that day, they would not have waited for her because the day was crucial, the day was so important as the results were to be announced. Do you think Miss Mason will announce the winners today? Asked Peggy. Oh, I hope so, the minute we get in, said Maddie. Of course you will win, Peg. Hope so, said Peggy eagerly. The minute they entered the classroom, they stopped short and gasped. There were drawings all over the room, on every ledge and window, window, windowsill, dazzling colors and brilliant, lavish designs, all drawn on great sheets of wrapping paper. There must have been 100 of them, all lined up. These must be the drawings for the contest. They were. Everybody stopped and whistled or murmured admiringly. As soon as the class had assembled, Miss Mason announced the winners. Jack Bagels had won for the boys. She said has designed for an outboard motor was an exhibition in room 12, along with the sketches by all the other boys. As for the girls, she said although just one or two sketches were submitted by most, one girl and room 13 should be proud of her. This one girl actually drew 100 designs, all different and all beautiful. In the opinion of the judges, any one of the drawings is worthy of winning the prize. I am very happy to say that Wanda Petronsky is the winner of the girls' medal. Unfortunately, Wanda has been absent from school for some days and is not here to receive the applause that is due to her. Let us hope she will be back tomorrow. Now, class, you may be file around the room quietly and look at her exquisite drawings. The children burst into applause, and even the boys were glad to have a chance to stamp on the floor, put their fingers in their mouths and whistle, though they were not interested in dresses. Look, Peg, whispered Maddie. There's that blue one she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, said Peg. Here's that green one. Boy, and I thought I could draw. So finally, eventually, when the best friends entered the classroom, Peggy asked Maddie if Miss Mason would announce the result or not, to which Maddie said yes. Maddie told her that she believed Peggy would win, but to their utmost surprise, when they when they entered the class, there were drawings all over the room. So the moment they entered the room, they were both friends were awestruck because the whole room was bedded, the entire room was decorated, embellished with beautiful paintings. There were drawings all over the room, bright and brilliant. They left everyone in awe. These were the drawings for the contest. Miss Mason announced the winners after everyone had settled. Amongst the boys, Jack Bagels had won. He drew an outboard motor which was displayed in room number 12 along with drawings made by other boys. She then talked about girls' submission. She mentioned that there was one such girl who had submitted 100 designs, each one so beautiful that the judges felt that any out of them was worthy of gold medal. Miss Mason very proudly announced Wenda as the winner of the competition. She continued and sadly mentioned that Wenda has not been coming school since days, so hoping she would be there for the next day. She instructed everyone to look at the flawless collection, to which everyone applauded and whistled. Maddie and Peggy even saw the blue dress that Wenda had talked about. It was beautiful. Peggy sighed and she said, I thought I could draw, which means that the drawings left her in immense admiration. So eventually, the truth about the same 100 dresses unveiled on the result day of the finally drawing competition. The room, it was all embedded, it was all bedecked with the 100 drawings portraying different dresses, all beautiful. The day that day she truly had 100 dresses all lined up. But in the classroom, at that moment, Peggy and Maddie, who were awestruck, realized the theory of 100 dresses and felt guilty about having treated her badly. Well, children, we are through with the first part, the 100 dresses, and I hope you all have acknowledged the first part, the story of this first part, and there's lot more to discuss as we have the second part of the story. We will discuss this later. Till then, take care of yourself. Thank you.